takes a pretty impressive skill set to make a living and produce food on these landscapes. That skill set and that knowledge base is endangered. We are on the edge of a time when we might not see this way of life continue without doing some things to encourage young people and make it easy for them to come into this way of life.
We are running into so many landowners who are, as we say, aging out. You know, the kids are not interested in taking over the farm and the ranch. They're off in the city making other money, you know, or making money. When you see a ranch being sold and you don't see someone coming in to work it, you see the landscape just really degrade. No one knows more about that landscape than Dennis does, and he can speak to it in such a way that you just really understand that it's more than land or soil or plants to him. It is really his family legacy.
I really think it's important in terms of a legacy to keep working landscapes working and available for future generations. So in our case, conservation easement is a fabulous tool. The money that we got out of the first easement was enough to pay off our mortgage, which is the right place to be when you talk about passing on a legacy to the next generation. You don't want to encumber the next generation with debt.
The broader picture, the work of land trusts that work with land protection is really just to do everything they can to help landowners find the tools that are available to protect these landscapes and keep them connected and keep them being able to be good stewards of the land and connecting protected landscapes. As a landowner, you have a lot of rights, and a conservation easement essentially removes the right to develop or the right to subdivide. And so you're left with the underlying land. You still own it. You can pass it on to your family members. You can sell it. But the conservation easement stays in place in what we call perpetuity, which is forever. The succession issues are really a big issue for our trust. The easements are not the be-all, end-all. At the end of the day, it is the landowners, the stewards of the land that are going to help keep these places intact.
I've known a lot of ranchers that didn't have a plan for succession for the ranch and just worked until they dropped dead. And I don't think that's a good idea. See, I recognize I can't do things that I could do 10 years ago or 20 years ago. It's just time to shift gears a little bit. One of the big problems is that I have 2 kids, and they said they weren't interested in working on the ranch. Deb and I are getting older, and we felt like we couldn't wait around for them to make up their minds. But in the meantime, we're working with another person who's really committed to doing this. And, you know, to me, I mean, you work with who you've got to work with.
In the mornings, I'll come over and pick up my buckets of soaked corn that's been pre-measured out and soaked, and I will go into the pig pen and feed my pigs, and usually visit with them for a couple minutes, scratch them on the ears, and just kind of go about the day. I met Dennis and Deb Maroney at a Society for Range Management section meeting, and they told me what they do here on the 47 Ranch, and I just became friends with them. 6 years later, the timing was right, and Dennis and Deb asked me, hey, are you interested in the business at all? And that's when I seriously started considering actually moving to the ranch and becoming their apprentice employee.
We're consciously transitioning the company from something that was owned by Deb and I to something that's essentially an employee-owned company. Over time, she will continuously earn a larger share in the company and larger proportion of ownership. We're gonna hang a left, yeah. You get really wrapped up in a place emotionally and psychologically, and you invest a huge amount of human energy in the land and the livestock and the community, and it's pretty real. The cost of land, the cost of livestock, the cost of machinery and infrastructure to do the things that we do is huge. And removing the barrier associated with the financial impediments, probably the biggest challenge, and the one that requires farmers and ranchers who want to pass on their land to others to think outside the box. Young people are endowed with energy, with good health, with new ways of seeing things, great creativity, great problem-solving skills. I'm all for being kind of, on the sidelines or in the background to provide advice and let them go for it, I think it's great. And things that for me might be problems, the next generation may have solutions.
But at the end of the day, it's like how many people actually want to do this. I think the resources to do it are here. The people just aren't there. So I'm kind of like, well, this is possible, you just have to be willing to work hard to do it.